Hi, welcome to Pierwsza Luźna podcast. It's a podcast about people, especially those who train Brazilian jiu-jitsu and other grappling martial arts. If you like the episode, hit a like button or share. I will be very grateful. Enjoy listening. One day after ADCC European Trials, I've talked to new wave jiu-jitsu competitor Griffith. We talk about his performance, how he became member of the squad, what makes John Danaher outstanding coach, Gordon's level in the gi, rugby, Republic of South Africa, Team Modolfo, and many more. As an additional surprise, you're gonna hear from time to time planes above our heads. Hopefully it won't bother you. Hi Luke.
How are you?
Thank you for taking my invitation.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on a podcast in Poland, and excited to have a conversation today.
Let's start with obvious one, because yesterday you won European Trials for ADCC. Your third trials, I believe?
Fourth trials.
Fourth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe let's go through your performance, through your fights. Let's talk about it a little bit, about every of your fight. Which was the toughest? Yeah, let's go through this.
Yeah. I had a pretty good performance yesterday. I was very happy the way everything went. I went into this trials wanting to get all submissions. Previously, I'd got 3 out of 4 submissions. This time I had 5 fights, and I managed to go out and get all submissions. So I was really happy to be able to have made that improvement. The first match, I can't remember what the guy's name was. But someone who I hadn't known before, I hadn't seen him before. So going into that match, I didn't really know much about him. But I ended up being able to get to his back and finish with a rear naked strangle fairly quickly. It was about 2 minutes long, but a pretty good first match of the day. Got a bit of a good sweat going, to kind of just work the first match nerves out. And from then on, I just felt that I got better throughout the day. So second match was the Polish guy, Marcin.
Yes, I believe with second was with Marcin Maciulewicz.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'd heard a little bit about him. Everyone, he won the Polaris qualifiers a while back.
Yes, he will be in the Grand Prix in the end of September.
Yes. So I'd heard a lot of good things, and I'd seen some of his matches. He's got some really good moves. So I was really looking forward to going up against one of the local guys who's shown promising jiu-jitsu. And had really good performance against him. In the beginning, we started off, there was kind of a back and forth leg lock battle in the beginning.
Yes.
But then I kind of used the leg locks to come on top and get to pass his guard into mounted position. And then eventually he exposed his back, and I managed to finish him from behind as well. But a very good match. I'm sure he's got a lot of big things coming up in the future. Very talented guy. Third matchup, I believe, was Declan Moody from B Team.
Yes.
That match, we've actually competed before, about a month, maybe 2 months ago in Austin. One of my friends runs a promotion in Austin called Enigma Jiu-Jitsu, and he runs a bunch of events there.
Okay. We are near the airport,
yes.
So from time to time there can be a plane in the background.
I apologize for that.
So few seconds of pause because it's really loud.
Yeah.
No worries. Like I used to live also near the airport, so it's for me it's like normal. Okay.
So Declan and I had a match previously. It was also an 8-man absolute tournament, and we met in the finals, and I managed to get the win over him. So obviously, I had that confidence that I'd already beat him going into that match. But it was a little bit different. The pressure of trials also always adds just a kind of a different feel to any other match, But I went in pretty confidently. We had a good couple of scrambles. But again, eventually I managed to mount him and get behind him and finish him from the back. And then fourth match, who was the fourth match? I can't even remember what the guy...
that's supposed to be a semi-final, right?
Semi-final, yeah.
So semi-final of 99...
Oh, it was Tom Brecher.
Yes.
Brescia
Yes.
from the UK. So that was actually like an unfortunate one because Tom and I are good friends. He's come to train with us a couple times in Austin. You know, he's a good guy.
Okay.
So yeah, going into that match, obviously I have trained with him. I knew a little bit about his game, so I was fairly confident going in that I knew what I had to do to beat him. You know, he's kind of strong on the feet, so I didn't waste any time trying to wrestle with him on the feet. Managed to pull guard, and I used the wrestle up to come on top, and we ended up getting into a little bit of a scramble, and as we were scrambling, I managed to get behind and get to a body triangle and strangle him from the back as well. So really, all four of the first matches, I had a direction that I wanted to go, and you know, I was very happy that I was able to kind of enforce that plan on everybody, you know. So that worked out really well. And then the finals match was Miraz, and I hadn't heard of him before either. But a lot of people told me he was really good. Apparently he won trials 2018 and 2019. And he also had a run where he got all submissions one year apparently. So, you know, and getting to the finals yesterday, he obviously did a very good job. So, you know, I was a little bit cautious going into that match, not really knowing what to expect. You know, I did study some of his matches throughout the day. Yeah, so he was strong on the feet. But when I went in, I managed to hit a good duck under to get behind him. As I got behind, he managed to turn inside my body lock, so I ended up mounted on him. So should we wait a little bit?
No worries. Still, we have like a really nice background
Yes.
to have this podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, so he managed to turn inside, and I ended up mounted. And then from there, I really wanted to get the smother choke, and he ended up rolling me off mount the first time, which I really got annoyed at, so I had to try remount him again, and then eventually managed to get the smother for the finish.
You also started this fight with really like a strong takedown. Yeah, it was like really strong final. I would say maybe it's the most dominant fight the whole performance, the final. So it was really strong statement, I would say.
Yeah.
With all the winners, I would say you dominated definitely the most. So congrats on that.
Thank you very much.
Last time you qualified to finals also with European Trials in Poznań. So if you have to compare this year and last time, which was the tougher?
You know, I think the last one would definitely have been tougher. You know, it was the first trials that I had done while being underneath New Wave. You know, so I'd been training there for I think about it was 8 or 9 months that I'd been with John at that point. And you know, it was kind of I would say a little bit more pressure because being under them, like all of a sudden now, I feel like, you know, there's no pressure from them, but you put that pressure on yourself that, you know, now you're kind of expected to win, which I always expect myself to win because that's what I want to do. But you know, there's a lot of other people watching now. Like Gordon had made some posts about me. I'd gained like a fair amount of popularity, and you know, now there's this kind of expectance to win. You know, so that definitely added some pressure. But at the same time, that's the kind of thing I like. You know, I love going out there and competing. I like feeling the atmosphere. So that was tough. But this time, I really feel like my confidence going in was really on a different level. You know, I didn't feel like at any point throughout the day yesterday that I was worried about anybody, like anything else somebody was doing to me. You know, I never felt that somebody put me in a position where I didn't know what to do. So I definitely feel like yesterday was one of the easier days I've had on the mats. Sorry, wait a second. Yeah, so definitely one of the easier days I've had on the mats, but also I think that my technique and my skill has also developed exponentially since the last trial. So I definitely think that, you know, maybe the way it looked was a product of the work that I've been putting in over the last year.
Mm-hmm. And are you even eligible to go to US trials?
No.
Okay.
So I don't have any kind of citizenship in the United States. Yeah.
Okay. So that was your option to get there.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. So you qualified last time, and 1 year before, 2021, I
Yes.
believe, you also compete on the trials.
Yes.
And you lost, and after that loss, you moved to Austin.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, that wasn't even semi-final, right?
No, that was second round. So both the trials I've done previous to the first one that I won, I won the first match and lost the second. So that would have been, I don't even think quarterfinals. And it was also at 88 kilos. So yeah, definitely nothing to write home about those first two. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the process of becoming member of New Wave Jiu-Jitsu squad and Danaher squad?
Yes.
Since, probably there is a lot of people around the world who would love to have the same path as you.
Yes.
Started to train with Gordon, under John, with Nicolas, with Giancarlo. So you have some connection before with them, or you just show up there, pay the fee and prove that you are worth to train with the A squad?
Yeah, so I was very blessed. I didn't know them before going there, but the process is different for everyone. There's not a set process that John has in order to be a part of the team. Sorry, we'll just wait 1 second for this plane to fly over.
No worries. It's busy at airport.
Busy airport.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I went and trained at Renzo Gracie Austin, which is open to the public initially, and that's where John invited me to train at Roca. So I don't even know exactly what the criteria are, but I think what John was looking for the most part is trustworthy training partners who have potential for growth and are overall good people. Like, you don't want people with some, obviously there's a certain degree of ego that's necessary to be good at the sport, right? So I don't think it's always a good idea to be like, okay, leave the ego out of everything, because you do need a certain amount of ego to be good at the sport. But I think that something that we have in the room right now is where we have all these good guys, but all of us are genuinely rooting for one another to be better, and I don't think that I don't think there's a lot of squads in the world that have the kind of connection and support for each other that we have, and so it is kind of hard to find, and at the same time we don't have our own school at the moment, so when we train at Roca, it doesn't belong to us. Okay. So we are limited to the amount of people that can come and train at the gym. So hopefully at some point John, Gordon and Gary will open their own academy, and at that point there'll be more people coming in and training from the general public than just people that John invites.
Okay, so basically right now it's only like a competitor squad?
Yes, so John teaches at Renzo Gracie Austin, which is open to the public, right? Okay. But none of the pro athletes train there. Okay. Sometimes every now and then, if we miss a session or somebody, like a friend's in town, like maybe I'll go to Renzo's to do a session. Mm-hmm. But most of us, if not all of us, train at Roca every day, right? John teaches at RGA twice a day, and he teaches at Roca, whereas we train twice a day as well. So if you're from the general public and you want to learn from John, you go to RGA Austin. Okay. And if you're on the pro squad, we go to Roca. And we train there.
It's quite nice arrangement, I would say. How big is this group in Roca? Around?
I would say maybe 20, 30 people.
20, 30 people?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you show up in Austin, you first go to
RGA, yes.
RGA, yes. And then John invites you to train
Roca. Into Roca. Exactly.
Okay, yeah. So this is the path for people who want to do this the same way. Okay, great. And it take like 7-8 months after you joined them, you took this next trials.
Yes.
And then from guy who lost in the second round, you were the winner. Yeah. So, in your opinion, we'll wait. We'll see even on the record, is it like loud or not? I don't know. In your opinion, what's John's secret? Is it like, how much is it John and how much is the group?
I think it's a combination of both, but you definitely, like, you can't take credit for anything without John. You know, the amount of work that he puts in that people probably just look past. You know, if I text John at any time, he texts me back within like 30 seconds. He's always up studying. So, you know, he teaches 4 times a day. And whenever he's off the mat, he's on his phone watching tape about some kind of new technique, you know. So the thing that astounds me about John is that he knows so much, but he's never content with what he knows. He's always trying to learn more. And I think that is such an important, thing to have, you know, as an athlete and a coach. You know, you always want to be able to improve and adapt your game. So I think a lot of people get to a certain point and they think, okay, I know enough to be good. And then, you know, once you get to that point where you say, okay, I'm done, there's always going to be people who are going to be able to come past you. And I think John is very good at staying ahead of the curve. So, wait. But so John is always learning new things. And I mean, if we ask John a question about something that we've just seen, he'll be like, oh yeah, in like 2001 when I was training, I was doing this and this and this, you know, like, so stuff that people see and they think is new right now, he's known about for like 20 years already, you know. So I think the fact that he is just constantly studying and increasing his knowledge is really is one of the things that puts him ahead. And also, you know, sometimes you just get people that are their understanding and ability to share knowledge with people is just so far superior to anybody else you've ever met. And I think that he's one of those people, as well as Gordon. You know, Gordon is an incredible teacher. And, you know, I love learning from him as well. And I think another thing that John does very well, aside from just teaching us jiu-jitsu, is teaching us how to teach. You know, so all his students have this ability to teach good jiu-jitsu, and I think that's a very important part of practicing jiu-jitsu, is being able to teach good jiu-jitsu as well.
Next plane pass. And how much John is able those days to move?
So he doesn't roll with us. Mm-hmm. But you know, John, he is fairly injured. Yes. Like you can see when he's just walking around, like, you know, he's in a lot of pain. But when he teaches, you can't tell that he's injured at all. I mean, it's incredible to watch him demonstrate moves. I mean, sometimes he'll be like, I was watching this move on YouTube of this wrestler doing something, mm-hmm. and he will hit the move perfectly. Like, you know, maybe he hasn't even practiced it yet before. He just watches it and he manages to do it perfectly. So it's incredible to see how, you know, he is in pain, but when he teaches, everything is done absolutely mm-hmm. perfectly. You know, you wouldn't be able to tell that he's in pain.
You think he would be able to hit berimbolo?
He can do it for sure. You know, sometimes he teaches it in the class every now and then. Not very often. Yeah, do anything you can think of, John can do it. You know.
Nice. I was also thinking, because preparing to this conversation, I scrolled through your Instagram, yes. obviously, and I have this feeling that after you switch to New Wave, the quality of your post, of your writing,
yes.
gets better.
Yes.
Like, with every post you put more insights, more something that is original. No, like
Yes.
all the guys like few words. And
Yes.
So is it something that you consciously learn there in Austin, or?
I think that, when you're surrounded by a certain group of people who act and, do things in a certain way, it's bound to kind of rub off on you, And so the way that they talk about jiu-jitsu and the way that they write and explain things kind of rubbed off on me and maybe started like that. So I don't think it was something that I did intentionally, but I think it just kind of happened as a result of, being in that environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good job on that, because it's, I felt the difference.
Thank you.
Definitely. Scrolling through your Instagram, also I learned that you are 22.
Yes.
And I was shocked because I thought you are a little bit older.
Yes.
And it's funny with this that we are here and like whole your family is
yes,
here.
my whole family's here. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk me a little bit about that. They flew here from South Africa, right?
Yes. So I have a very close family. I grew up homeschooled. So I had a lot of time spent with my whole family growing up. So I have both my grandmothers here, my grandpa's here, just one of them. And, for me, it's very special to be able to get to share these moments with my family. They've been supporting me throughout this journey for longer than anybody else. And so, I was very grateful that they got to come out and watch. As well as, I don't get to see them that much anymore. So, I'm spending all my time in Austin and they're back in South Africa. So it was just a good opportunity to kind of meet halfway and get to catch up with family that I don't get to see all the time.
Okay. So do you have some plans to stay in Poland or in Europe, or?
So we'll be here 2 more days, just to spend together. But unfortunately, I have a couple more tournaments coming up before the end of the year, so I'll be heading back to Austin on Tuesday to start preparing for those. But we got here about a week ago, so we spent 10 days total together, which is not a lot of time, but it's good enough. When you haven't seen someone in a year, 10 days is good.
You concentrate about spending time together,
yes.
like here, or you do some sightseeing, been in some places in Warsaw? Or?
So the week leading up to the trials, we was mostly spending time here. Obviously, my cousin and I were cutting weight, so we couldn't do too much. We just did our training sessions, and then making sure that we were eating a right amount, drinking the right amounts of water, and so most of the time was spent here. But I think later today we want to kind of explore a little bit. Well, I have one of my friends here from South Africa. She actually lives in Germany now. So she knows Europe a little bit better. So she's organized some places for us to go and see. So I think we're going to go, I think it's Old Town Warsaw today a little bit. Yes. And then maybe tomorrow some other sites.
Yeah, okay.
So the next 2 days we'll do some sightseeing for sure.
Great. I'm not from Warsaw, but I believe I could recommend you. This is the classic one, but there is a famous park in the neighborhood of Wilanów. It's Łazienki. It's mean bathroom in Polish language, but you have like a King's Palace there.
Yes.
And big pond, and it's very like everybody in Poland know this place. So if you, and I believe it's quite near from here.
I think I've actually been there before. So I actually have a Polish aunt. One of my uncles from back home was married to her, and we've previous times come to Poland, we stayed with her, and I think she's taken my dad and I once before. Now that you mention it, but I actually that's a great idea. I think we might go and check that place out. So thank you.
Great. So tell me a little bit more about your BJJ journey before you went to Austin in South Africa.
So I've been doing jiu-jitsu pretty much my whole life. My dad's a black belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's been here?
So my dad, all the trials that I've ever gone to, my dad's been with me. So he started teaching my sister and I. I was 5 years old when I started.
Oh.
I honestly initially didn't like it at all. I didn't want to do it. And my dad never forced me to compete or anything, but he wanted me to have a skill like jiu-jitsu, either, to be able to either defend myself or to be able to make money by teaching or something like that. It was just a valuable skill to have. And so I trained 3 or 4 times a week only up until about the time I was 12 or 13 years old. And then I started to take it a little bit more seriously. But I didn't compete until I was about 16 years old.
Okay.
And then I started doing relatively well on South African circuit, beating adults and, all the good guys in South Africa. And one day I was sitting in like a coffee shop with my grandma and my dad, and an advert for ADCC Trials popped up on my Instagram. And I said to my dad, well, why don't we try and do this, And so that was like the initial spark, what sparked my interest to do the trials. And I came in and won my first match and lost the second one. But that was really just the beginning of like the hunger that I had, because I was at the top of where my game was for South African Jiu-Jitsu. Like I was the best already, but I couldn't even get past the second round in Europe. So that was a good like kind of motivator for me to start, continue to improve my Jiu-Jitsu even in South Africa. And then I'd always been a big fan of John and Gordon. So my dad and I would study their DVDs, and we had a gym at our house that we could train in. So, I started kind of trying to develop this, like that kind of skill before going to Austin. And yeah, I mean, besides that, I have another great coach back in South Africa. His name's Richie Kwan and Chef, one of the biggest gyms in South Africa. I'm still have a great relationship with them. Whenever I go home, I go and visit. Richie did a lot to help my jiu-jitsu as well. He is under Cobrinha, so there's a lot of good jiu-jitsu there as well. Everything kind of.
And what city you were based in?
Johannesburg.
Okay,
Yeah,
so the capital.
Yes.
Let's say capital.
Close, yeah. So I believe Pretoria is the capital.
I believe you have like a free capital, something
yes.
like that.
Honestly, I can't even tell you, to be honest. I'm not too clued up on that.
Yeah, administrative capital. I think it's Pretoria. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who got me to the position where I was able to go and train in Austin, so my dad being obviously the primary of that, and then Richie Kwan was a huge help to me as a coach back home, that helped prepare me to get ready to go over,
And at what point you switch only to no gi?
So I trained actually predominantly in the gi before coming to Austin. I would train I would train no gi every day, but I would train gi every day as well. I enjoy both still, but at this point, I really prefer no gi. I wouldn't say that I won't ever compete in the gi again. If I have like a good amount of time to prepare for something, then I will take it. We got some kids next door screaming a little bit.
Yeah.
But if I go into the gi, I don't want to just go in and like try. I want to go in and win. So I would need like a year of good training in the gi before I'm getting ready to step back onto
Gordon
the mat.
used to say the same thing, and he put it away.
Yeah.
So. That's the reason that I believe that even with mad respect for Gordon's skills and achievements, because of this factor, the gi, I can't name him a goat of grappling. For me, the goat is Roger.
Yes.
Roger, because he have both success, the same success in gi and no gi.
Yes.
Like Gordon, at this point, is already the best no gi player
in the world,
in the history, but the skill in both those formulas make Roger for me the best.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Gordon doesn't claim to be the best in the world in the gi, right? So, he says he's the GOAT of no-gi grappling. But I tell you what, if you see Gordon roll in the gi, I honestly think he can beat anybody. I've seen him roll with Haja in the gi and without the gi. It's maybe not his favorite thing to do, but man, I really think that if he wanted to compete in the gi, he would do a lot of damage. I don't think there'd be many people who could beat him.
Okay, tough question.
Yeah.
How about Nicolas Meregali?
Look, that's tough. Obviously, now they train with each other. Like you start to learn each other's game. Nicolas is obviously the best in the world in the gi. I mean, there's just no question about that. So at this stage, like I don't know if Nicolas would be able to submit Gordon in a match, but I think maybe he would have the edge on grips and being able to get into good position and maybe score points. But then again, you never know. Gordon's so resilient, man. I thought I had a fully locked rear naked strangle on him last week for about 45 seconds, and he just didn't tap and eventually escaped and then proceeded to beat me up. So even if you think you're about to get something on Gordon, he just never gives up.
Yeah, like this Craig matchup, right?
Yes.
With this armbar.
Yeah.
That's history already. You know? And when you join New Wave, Nicolas was already there?
No, so I was actually there before Nicolas.
Okay.
But it was about a month or two apart. So we joined very close together.
So you've seen his path, because there is a story that at point when he joins, he really don't have experience with no-gi experience, wrestling experience, and stuff like that. So can you confirm that the difference between Nicolas at the first day and on let's say ADCC day was that quick? He learned. Or?
So I believe that when Nicolas came to train with us, he'd only ever done 2 no-gi sessions in his life before.
That's crazy. Like being still...
I could be mistaken. It might be like 1 or 2 more, but I believe that's what it is.
No difference at all.
But I mean, it's crazy. I think that the thing with Nicolas is, he's a world-class athlete, right? So, and at the end of the day, yes, gi and no gi are different sports, but he has very good fundamentals of jiu-jitsu. I mean, it is still jiu-jitsu. But also the way that Nicolas applies himself in training and the way he's so eager to learn is, I think, what propelled him to improve so much in grappling, in no-gi grappling. It can be hard sometimes, going from being the best in the world in the gi. Now, all of a sudden you go into a training room in no-gi where you don't really train this, and you have like kind of blue belts and purple belts who are able to, kind of submit you and beat you up with stuff that you've never seen before, like leg locks, etc., and that can be mentally demoralizing. But even through all that, Nicolas, used it and geared it towards learning and becoming, proficient in something that, wasn't his preferred specialty. And now he's at a point where, man, I can't leg lock Nicolas anymore. And, sometimes he takes me down. I mean, I'm not the best wrestler, but I struggle to take him down. It's a very even match between the two of us. So, yeah, it is incredible to see how quickly his no-gi has gone from quite literally 0 to 100.
If we go through some of the guys from the squad, Satoshi Ishii, what he brings to the mats.
Yeah, Satoshi is one of the nicest people I've ever met. I'm very, very thankful to have him on the team as well. Very nice guy. And man, just incredible judo skills on the feet. I mean, it's when I have to do an open round standing with him, I get scared because I know I'm just going to get crashed into the mat. Obviously coming from a judo background, his skills on the mat are not as good as his skills on the feet, but also, he's not scared to learn. He's there every day. And yes, it's maybe not like the easiest thing for him to do now, learning this kind of stuff so late in the game or in this stage of his life. But he doesn't complain about anything. He always does his best to learn and improve as much as he can. And it's never an easy round with Satoshi. Like sometimes you can like me and Nicholas, if we're feeling tired, we can kind of flow. Man, you can never do an easy round with Satoshi. He's always going to bring it, and he's always going to try and do as best as he can. And I really like that. That kind of to have a training partner like that. So yeah, so having Satoshi in the room is absolutely amazing.
Another one.
Yeah,
we have a little bit break, but they came back. Look, you compete a lot, and those are very often some invitational tournaments.
Yeah.
And like, how at this point is your way to earn money? Let's say
Yes.
strict. I believe you teach, but as I checked your Instagram, it's mostly focused on the competition side.
Yes.
Some of seminars, of course, but most of them, I believe, was when you was in South Africa.
Yes.
And so, what's the way for you to live?
Yeah. So it is tough. I don't have like a work permit in the US, right? So I can make money through my sponsor. Roll Forever is the company that is sponsoring me. They sponsor my visa to be in the US. So I can teach seminars through them. So they book workshops for me, and then I can teach seminars, and then I get paid through them, right? So I get paid, basically they're my employees, and then they pay me money to teach seminars under their name. So that's pretty much that, and then also just through competitions, right? So competition money, and then working for All Forever is how I make money.
Is it like because it's not consistent way
Yes.
of earning?
For sure.
Is it like stressful for you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's very difficult because also, like, my parents have been very supportive. They help me with a lot of things, but the exchange rate from South African rands to dollars is astronomical. I think $1 is like 20 rand or something like that.
Okay.
So it's very difficult for them to, like, they do help a lot and send money, but it's very expensive, So sometimes it does get a little bit stressful, but it gets tight sometimes, but yeah, we make it work, and so far it's been okay.
So what is the plan, like long-term plan for you?
Well, I'd like to, obviously, ADCC is the goal, right? And I feel like once you win ADCC, that kind of opens up a lot of doors to other ways of earning money, right? So obviously, like, you have instructionals and stuff like that. I can obviously release one now, but I would like to wait until I get to a point where I win something significant before I release something like that, So I think the biggest goal... Sorry, we'll wait until this passes. Yeah, so as I was saying, for me now, the focus right now, is not only about the money. I didn't get into jiu-jitsu because I wanted to get rich. I love the sport, and I want to be the best. So yeah, there might be a couple, months or years even that it's going to be stressful. But the focus for me now is to be the best in the world, and that's going to take some time, and it's going to take sacrifices. And so if I have to sacrifice the comforts of, a few things, I'm willing to do that. So yeah, if once I win ADCC, then I can start, working towards releasing instructionals and, other ways of making income.
I'm guessing at this point, the role model for you for that could be Giancarlo,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Because he was known to the public.
Yes.
His YouTube channel is very good.
Yes.
I like it a lot, but still fairly known for like more freak supporters and people who really know their stuff. Then of course, being around New Wave already gives you some boost.
Yes.
But winning the ADCC, winning first place in this fashion, it was like a huge, and for me, it was the most. Of course, John creates some great competitors, but for me, it was like the best example that the guy who was solid in very short amount of time became a ADCC champion.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, to watch Giancarlo go and do that the way he did was just crazy. I mean, Giancarlo is one of my best friends, and it was the way that he trained in the gym and still does. I mean, leading up to that was really, really cool to see. And he really made everybody in that 88 kilo division look like they didn't know jiu-jitsu. He really, if he had 10 more seconds with Izaki, he would have finished all the matches by submission. So it was a really dominant performance with him.
And what at this point you think about your performance on ADCC Worlds with especially
Yuri.
Fight with Yuri?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was a decent fight, right? Obviously, it's not a performance that I'm extremely proud of because I lost. And I definitely think even at that point, I had the skill sets to beat Yuri. But I think that I was, a little bit hesitant to kind of pull the trigger in a lot of areas. So, he didn't score any points on me. I didn't score any points on him. It was a very close match. And he went on to win the absolute gold medal. So, it wasn't a terrible performance, but looking back, I definitely wish that I'd, had the, calmness of mind to actually make better decisions under the pressure and, trust that my technical skills were actually there and not just, do whatever I was thinking like straight away, really think things clearly. So I definitely am looking forward to going back to ADCC with more confidence, knowing that my skills are just as good, if not better than everybody else's, and going in and actually pulling the trigger.
With all respect for Yuri, for me, he always been one of the most boring competitors in the circuit. And when I learned that because I didn't watch like live ADCC, I watched it like day after.
Yes.
And the absolute results were spoiled for me. And when I heard like Yuri won the absolute, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So that was surprising.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, whenever Yuri wins, it's always like a decision, right? I mean, I don't think he ever submits anybody. So having that as well is kind of like when you lose to a guy like Yuri, you're like, it kind of makes it a little bit worse because it's really not that he was that much better than you. It was just that, he's one of those guys who's just really good at stalling.
He was more clever than you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Okay, we will get back to jiu-jitsu stuff, but I would like ask you are from South Africa. Do you follow rugby?
Yes. Yeah. So, growing up in South Africa, I think most boys, their first love is rugby. So probably the first 12 years of my life, I wanted to be a professional rugby player. I don't watch as much anymore, but the Rugby World Cup is going on right now.
Exactly.
So South Africa has a game today, actually, I think against Romania. So me and Dan are going to be texting back and forth. He's Romanian, so I'm going to get to talk a little bit shit to him today about that. Hopefully we don't lose. But yeah, so growing up, we used to watch rugby as a family growing up, and yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I also watch rugby. Not like when it's like a big event, so World Cup or Six Nations.
Yes.
I have to say it's not because I'm talking to you, but South Africa is one of my favorites.
Yes.
I also I fell in love with rugby with last World Cup and with Japan performers.
Yes.
I believe they were first team outside of 8 teams that always go to the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Right? Always it was the same 8 team, and first time Japan changed that.
Yes.
And third one for me is Wales.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a very good match. South Africa last match. It was with.
The last weekend,
yes.
Scotland against Scotland.
Yeah, very good match. Very
yeah.
good match. So it was fun. Who's your favorite player?
There's a lot of new guys, and I mean, I don't keep up with all of them, but I mean, there's probably between, I would say, the forwards, the big guys, Malcolm Marx or Eben Etzebeth. Both very big guys, very physical, and they play the game hard. So yeah, I'm big fans of them for sure.
So probably you are more like first line
so
players.
When I used to play 8-man, so right at the back of the scrum.
Okay.
Yes, so forward, yeah.
I have like something for half scrums.
Yes.
And I love Faf de Klerk.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I love this guy. Yeah. And sometimes he attacks the guys from the first line, and he's so small compared to them, and
he's a fan favorite for sure. Yeah, the people love him.
He's the man. In South Africa, is any like a cross training between rugby players and grapplers, like wrestlers or something like that? I ask because I remember that there was a time like my friend who is really good black belt from Gdynia Trains the local rugby team.
Squad, okay.
A little bit wrestling, a little bit something for them.
Yes.
But yeah, they switch.
Yeah.
So there is something like that.
So I've heard that there's a few guys from a couple of the rugby teams that do jiu-jitsu and some MMA, but I don't think that it's like there's anything that's organized where the whole team trains. But yeah, to my knowledge, there's nothing like that I know of. Yeah.
Okay. And about South Africa itself, maybe I should tell you first, like, how it looks from my perspective.
The outside world,
yeah. Because like I'm the guy who is interested in politics, history, stuff like that, the world, geography. So I would say I know a little bit more about the world than
most
the
people,
average.
Yeah.
But let's say in the, I don't know, martial arts bubble, which I follow, and martial arts community is mostly more like, let's say, right-wing or a little bit conservative.
Yes.
So I heard more like from that perspective, and the most things about South Africa is about the violence.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
How it looks there from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, South Africa is a fairly dangerous place. Just the way that the country is being run at the moment, leads. There's a lot of room for crime and corruption. There's a lot of poverty, and poverty creates violence. So yeah, unfortunately, as much as people want to deny it, there's a lot of murder going on. I believe that there was a statistic posted. I think it was after the second quarter of last year that more people were killed in South Africa than in the Ukraine and Russia war. So I don't know what those stats look like now, but there's definitely a lot of violence going on there.
And when you are there and you move around your places, your neighborhood, you feel safe or not necessarily 100%?
So I was blessed enough to grow up in a decent area. We live in a gated community where there's security surrounding our neighborhood. So roughly about 2,000 houses or so enclosed with private security protecting the place. There's been a couple of break-ins with shootings in that neighborhood, but not very many. But most like my dad carries a gun when he goes out to work, and whenever I would say that most people would carry a weapon. It's definitely not something that you want to have to use ever, but it's something that I believe in South Africa is a necessity.
Okay.
Yeah.
You feel that there are some opportunities to change that for better, politically or socially?
It's tough. I at the moment, I don't look at a lot of the stuff. Sometimes it can kind of get you a little bit depressed when you dive too deep into like how badly a country's doing, and and kind of makes it harder. So I try not to pay too much attention to it, but I mean, it doesn't seem like it's at a point where it's going to get any better. It might have to get a lot worse before it can get better, you know. So like right now, they're in a state called load shedding, right? So
once again,
load shedding. So we have no power for 12 hours every single day. There's no electricity, the whole country. You know, so that
12 hours,
12 hours,
half of the
day. Yeah,
and it was like at night, or
it can be at any time.
Okay.
So it'll be different times throughout the whole country. Like one area will have no power, then another area will. So it switches because they don't have enough money to keep the power on the whole time, because the power company is stealing the money that's getting invested and not maintaining the power plants and whatnot. So it just there's, you know, everything in like the government that's running the things in the country is just stealing the money, and so everything is just getting worse and worse and worse. You know.
Let's switch to the bright side of your country. If I been going to South Africa,
yes.
What you would recommend to see or go to?
I would say if you want to go to vacation in South Africa, Cape Town is the best place to go. It's absolutely beautiful. The coastline is stunning. You know, you have everything there. You have surfing on the coast. You have the mountains. You can go hiking in the mountains. You have the winelands. You know, there's the wildlife there. So I think, you know, in terms of going on holiday and having a good experience, I think Cape Town is going to be your best bet. Johannesburg is nice. There's things that you can do, but as a tourist, I would say not as attractive, you know? So yeah, Cape Town is definitely the place to go. And I think as well, you know, with the exchange rate being so low, if you're coming from a country that's making euros or dollars, it's actually a relatively affordable holiday for most people coming from other countries.
And is it like normal or popular for South Africans to travel somewhere around Africa? Like, you know, in Europe, it's like a normal. You go to Italy, to Spain, to just, of course, it's a way shorter route. Another plane from Italy. But is it like culturally popular to sightsee in Africa, or you stay with your place?
So there's a few places that are popular. I think like Mozambique is very popular to go to. I mean, you have the beaches there that are very nice. My cousin's mom, Aiden, he was competing yesterday. She's a travel agent and she works up in Zimbabwe. So you know, she does travel tours up there. So there are a few places that people like to travel to. But I would say it's definitely not as popular as maybe people in Europe traveling from country to country.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's clear. So getting back to jiu-jitsu, what is your regular week in case of training?
Yes. So right now I wake up at 5:30 a.m.
Okay. I don't like to. I'm not that type of guy. So.
I lift weights from 6 a.m. to 7:30. So I wake up 5:30 just to have 30 minutes to get ready. The gym is like 5 minutes away from where I live. So I lift for an hour and a half in the morning till 7:30. Then I can come home, have breakfast, have a shower to get ready to leave for training by 8:30. My first training session is 9 a.m. to about 10:30, 10:45. And then I come home, have lunch, maybe have a nap, or if I have some other things to do, I can get that done. And then my second training for jiu-jitsu is at 3 p.m. So I have a bit of time in between those two to get some stuff done. And then we finish class around about close to 5, sometimes 5:30, and then I'll be done for the day. So that's every single day.
Okay, so if you have like let's say 3 evenings.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and do you have some private lessons or at this point?
Sometimes, but not often. You know, especially if I'm like in preparation for something, I try to keep that on the low. Just because it does drain a lot of energy. Sometimes I just like to focus on like competitions that that are in front of me. But sometimes, yes, private lessons as well.
And do you study jiu-jitsu outside of the mat?
Not as much as I used to be honest. So if I have a match coming up, then I like to do a lot of studying on the opponent that I'm competing against. But I don't do as much like video study as I used to do before going to John, just because I feel like it's I don't really want to go home and listen to John's voice anymore, and it's not worth it for me to watch anybody else's DVDs.
Really?
Know?
You can find something for you in some other approaches.
I don't. I mean, maybe there is, but for me, it's just I wouldn't. I don't feel like it's necessary to watch anybody, but I mean, I only watched John, Gordon, and Gary before moving there.
Okay.
And yeah, now that I'm learning from them personally, I don't feel like there's any point in me watching anybody else's stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you do for fun? What do you do when you don't do jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. So I'm actually a pretty boring guy outside of jiu-jitsu. I'm like kind of more of a loner. You know, I'm happy like in my own space. So I don't actually do too much. But in Austin, you know, we have Barton Springs, which is like a community pool where when in summertime everyone goes out and they swim and, you know, kind of just spend some time outside. So I enjoy doing that. And then yeah, me and Dan like to hit up the all-you-can-eat sushi buffet sometimes. But other than that, most of the time I just stay by myself and sleep and just kind of chill out, you know. But I'm not too busy outside of jiu-jitsu.
But I don't know. You read books, you play games, or you watch Netflix.
Yeah, well, maybe I would say watch Netflix. I've never had my video games ever my whole life. My dad never wanted us to play video games.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't have video games. Sometimes I watch TV, like Netflix a little bit, but in my spare time, sometimes I like cooking a little bit. But other than that, really not much. I like being outside. So like I have pool at my apartment complex. Just lying outside, you know, chilling at the pool is for me relaxing. You know.
But could you recommend like some maybe show you've lately seen or your favorite movie? What is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. Man, I'm a big Adam Sandler fan. I like Adam Sandler.
Okay,
I gotta say, I think Grown Ups has got to be one of my all-time favorite movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, hot topic.
Yes.
Hot topic, new wave and B team. Conflict, fraud, rivalry, hard to tell. Is it like the main thing is between the guys who, you know, was the Danaher Death Squad and now have some issues between themselves and it doesn't take to the rest of the team, or it's like team rivalry at this point?
Yeah, you know, I think it's definitely like it's kind of a team rivalry. It's nothing personal. Like, I mean, I honestly don't really know the guys from B team too well. Sorry, well,
another plane.
yeah, but I mean, like Joseph, you know, I chatted to him for a little bit yesterday. He's a good guy, you know, like I don't have any issues with him personally. But, you know, with it being B Team New Wave, obviously there is that kind of like driving conflict that you want to do well against each other just because of the fact that it is B Team versus New Wave, you know. So I try not to get too caught up in the politics of everything and just do my jiu-jitsu.
About Joseph, I know he beats Oliver in the final.
Yeah.
So you are probably upset about that, but I have to say, his performance was incredible.
You know, obviously it's I'm disappointed for Oliver. You know, he's one of my good friends and training partners, but you know, yesterday Joseph had, you know, an incredible performance, and you know, you can't deny that. So, you know, I'm happy for him. He did good, and he had great performance.
And how about Dan? Because I seen him Instagram post. He said he had some health issue injuries.
Yeah, so Dan had a couple issues. You know, he broke his hand, or he did something to his hand a couple weeks ago where he tore like a tendon in his hand, so he hasn't been able to use his hand for like the past 3 weeks. So coming in, he was already struggling with that. And then he's also been really sick the whole week. Like, I've been speaking to him. He hasn't been feeling good. So, considering that, he had a fairly good performance yesterday as well. And, I know what it's like to compete when you're not feeling good. So yeah, unfortunately he didn't get the win. Haki did a great job. Congratulations to him. But yeah, Dan will be back, and he'll definitely be at ADCC.
Yeah, I have to say I was surprised because when I done some like predictions,
Yes,
for you guys and the rest as from the crew from the US and stuff like that, I believe Dan, he's the biggest favorite.
yes,
And Heikki was the only guy I was seeing as some threat, but he's a vet. He's a little bit older.
yes.
He's around like from forever.
Yeah,
But I was a little bit surprised that in this final, because he lost with the minus points.
yes.
And I was surprised he didn't push more at the end.
Yes.
Show up more aggression.
Yeah.
He don't strict as a aggressive guy and
Yes.
aggressive competitor. He's always like really, really calm. But
Yes.
he was knowing he was losing. It was
Yes.
only one advantage, let's
Yes,
say.
yeah.
And he wasn't like shooting for takedown. So you talked with him about that?
Yeah, I think that when you're sick, your mental clarity is kind of gets a little bit wobbly, and so I think that the fact that he couldn't really, he didn't feel like he had control over his body, and he didn't feel like he just had any energy to do anything. I think that is the only explanation I have at the moment. I can't say exactly what he was feeling. I haven't spoken to him super in depth about it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Dan, and I see him train every day, and that's definitely not what he looks like. So there was definitely something going on with him. So yeah.
Is then the closest person for you in New Wave? Because I just had this feeling, going through your Instagram.
Yeah, so me and Dan are really good friends. He was one of the first guys that I met when I moved to the US. I don't really think that I'm more close to one person than anybody else. We have a really tight group.
Okay.
Davis Asari is really also one of our good friends. Christos, Juan, all the guys. We're all really close. We hang out all at training all the time. So I would say all of us are very close, but yes, me and Dan are really good friends.
Okay, so yeah, as we go through the performance of your pulse, what happened that Davis didn't make the weight?
So I believe I haven't spoken to him that much, but I believe as he was cutting the weight, he got sick, and he had to rehydrate before continuing to cut the weight, which is unfortunate. But sometimes making the weight and risking your health is not as important. He can do another trials. Maybe he goes up a weight, or I don't know what he's gonna do. But Davis he's tough, and if he had to pull out, he made the right decision. Mm-hmm. So it's unfortunate because we would have loved to see him. Him and Joseph Chen have been like on the rise at the same time. So I was really looking forward to a potential matchup with the two of them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it'll happen in the future. And I haven't spoken to Davis, but yeah, hopefully he's okay.
He have a bad luck for Poland because he used to have like a seminar in my club. In my team,
yes,
and something happened with the plane, and he.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's like a few months back, and he didn't get here. So,
oh no.
So he could develop some.
It's like a phobia to Poland.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Team Modolfo.
Yes.
Team Modolfo the square.
Oh yes.
Nice. Dog loves the squares.
Oh really?
He's like fascinated with the squares. Team Modolfo. What do you think about this project? And you compete in Kazakhstan.
Yes.
What's your experience about the being there? Because it's quite exotic, especially for a guy from South Africa who lives in the US.
Yeah. It was, it was an incredible experience. We got taken care of so well by the guys who run AIGA, Doran and Tolligan. So for us to go there, it was an incredible experience. We got to see a lot of the cool sights and stuff, went hiking in the mountains. And the people in Kazakhstan were very friendly. I was kind of not really sure what to expect going there, what the culture was going to be like. And very, very taken aback by the friendliness and, hospitality of the people. It was a great experience, and I'm looking forward to going back there.
You didn't have any problems with communicate in English?
Yeah. So they a lot of the people, they don't speak English as well, but most of us had Google Translate on our phone where we could just speak, and that made it possible to communicate.
What a time to be alive, right?
Absolutely. But yeah, I would say out of all the places I've been, that's got to be the place where English has been like the least spoken language. Yeah, there's definitely not as many people speaking English there.
We will get back to this event, but where are the most interesting places you ever been around the world?
I would say my favorite place that I've been to, I didn't actually travel here for jiu-jitsu, but is Switzerland. I have some family who lives in Switzerland, and I spent summer with them, and I would say I think that's the most beautiful country that I've been to.
Yes.
I'd love to go back there just to visit them again, but definitely one of my favorite places so far.
Sure. Okay. So getting back to Team Modolfo, really tough squad created by Mo.
Yes.
Did you have chance to train a little bit as a team, or you just compete together?
We trained a little bit. So we'll just wait for this plane to come over. Yeah, so we were there for a few days. We trained a little bit, but I will say I didn't train with everyone. I mostly trained with Giancarlo because the two of us trained together every day. And I wasn't exactly sure how everybody else was going to train, like safety-wise and whatnot. So it's kind of stayed with them. But I had some good rounds with Dante Leon. He's a really cool guy. We had some good rounds together. And as well as Isaac Michel, we had some good training. Yeah. So I definitely got a chance to train with some of the guys. I didn't train with everybody, but it was a good time.
Are someone from Team Modolfo in competition make you surprised? That maybe not surprised, like you liked their performance in your matches? Like you didn't expect that maybe
so one of the guys that I compete against?
No, like maybe from your team, right? At this point.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, anyone who's going to be on Mo's team was going to be good, I was very, very impressed by a lot of the guys there. Dante had great performances. I mean, the second that he went up one weight class to 83 kilos because Isaac had an injury, and he submitted the guy one weight class above him. So for him to do that was really crazy. So that was very impressive for me. But yeah, everybody did good job except me.
you lose only one fight. Okay, honest answer, please.
Yes,
here.
Yeah.
Did you going to compete against people in this part of the world that you didn't know?
Yeah.
Probably. You were confident, but you
There's caution. Be cautious.
Being confident is a good thing, but being too confident, not necessarily. Is this was the case? You believe a little bit? You won, of course, but it was tougher than you may expect with this lineup.
Yeah, sure. So I definitely think that we were cautious, and Russian. We knew that the Dagestani guys were going to be very tough. I still don't think that overall they were as technical as us, but they have very strong wrestling base, and they're very resilient people. So We knew that going in there, and they showed exactly how tough and resilient they were. They ended up beating us. The Universal Fighters beat us in the last duel. So yeah, it was definitely tough. But I think now that we know more or less what to expect, it'll be a little bit easier for us to prepare for the final in December.
Mm-hmm. It's in December. The squad is changing, or
it's changed up a little bit. I'm pretty sure they've announced everybody, but I can't remember all the new names. I believe Mika Galvao is in now.
He have to looking for opportunities to fight outside of
IBJJF.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mo's got a couple other like really top level guys on the team. Big Dan's in place of John Hansen, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a couple changes, but it should be good.
What do you think about the various formats of competing in teams? I personally really like it.
Yes.
Maybe is this something that I'm European? Maybe you know football is huge here. I don't follow football, but it's huge. So maybe I used it. I really for the first time I love the quintet format. Polaris squads. Like for me, it's adding some more excitement.
Yes.
What do you think about it? Do you like it, or still the most important is your solo performance?
Yeah. I definitely think it's interesting. I wouldn't put it above like a solo performance, but I think especially like with quintet, if you have like your own team and it's your own guys that you train with every day, it's definitely kind of a little bit more thrilling and exhilarating because even though if you've won a match, you want your teammate to win as well. So it just kind of brings like a different like experience and feeling into it. So I definitely am intrigued by the different formats, and I'm would love to compete in as many as I can.
Changing the topic.
Yeah.
Did you train with Dricus du Plessis?
I haven't trained with him, no. But I actually had a match against his brother when I was, I think, 16 or 17 in jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
But I haven't actually trained with Dricus. But yeah, he's doing incredibly well in the UFC right now. South Africa's really has a couple of guys that are breaking out. There's another guy from his gym, Cameron Simon, who's also in the UFC, I think 3-0 now as well. So yeah, really doing very well. So it's great to see that he's doing that.
And how much famous, let's say, he is in South Africa? Is MMA popular there?
I would say MMA is more popular than jiu-jitsu.
Of course.
Especially now with Dricus. I mean, especially I think the rugby and Dricus now are like the two main things that South Africans are getting behind,
Oh, great.
So he's really doing a good job of like propelling the sport.
I don't know if you know, but before he went to UFC, he fought in
KSW,
Poland, in
yes,
KSW. Yeah. He was a champion even for some time.
Yes.
He win and lost to Roberto Soldic, who went to one, but at this point it looks like it wasn't a really good move.
Okay.
Do you follow MMA?
A little bit, not as closely as I follow jiu-jitsu, but I really do enjoy watching it. So
some favorite fighters?
I'm actually a fan of Sean Strickland. Just that, just the way I'm not necessarily like everything about him. Like, he has an interesting personality.
But he's a character.
But he's a good character for MMA, right? And he's a different character. Like, so you get a lot of these like superstars like Conor that are like kind of like cocky or whatever, which is cool. But it's nice to see like a little bit of a different character that brings like something else, So that's pretty cool. I'm a fan of Aljamain Sterling. I like Aljamain Sterling. He's a good fighter. So yeah, there's a couple guys that I like. Yeah, that I follow.
Okay, sure. Look, I have last question for you, and this is my regular question. I ask my guest about that. If you would to get a call that someone wants to have a private lesson with you, and it would be someone famous, but outside of the world of martial arts.
Yes.
Actor, singer, writer, male, female, doesn't matter. having private lesson, you get to know this person,
Yes.
learn a little bit about them, talk to them, have some connection.
Yes.
Who do you like to be? Who do you be excited, like a little boy or something like that to
That's a good question.
to have that kind of meeting?
That's a good question. Man, I've never thought about that before.
Yeah, nobody think about that.
I don't know how you came up with that. That's a great question.
I'm a master of that type of questions. I have way more about those questions.
Man.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
So you could, go with some top models or something like that. One of my guests said, "Okay, sorry for my girlfriend, but it would be Emma Watson."
Man, maybe like Denzel Washington or something like that. I'm a fan of his movies.
Okay.
Like
Man on Fire.
Yes, yeah, Equalizer. Yeah, so maybe I would say that. Yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe someone said I had a podcast with JT Torres.
Yes.
And I'm not sure, but he maybe said the same
thing.
yeah. I'm not sure right now, but I have to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, Denzel Washington, my next guest. If he do at least a little bit of jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Okay. Look, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure, especially after huge success yesterday. Hopefully you will visit Poland maybe
for sure.
Once again, maybe to the north where I live.
Yes.
So we could train there. Now it's time for you for some thanks or some stuff like that. Anything you want to say, mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I just thank you for having me on the podcast. It's been great chatting with you, and I appreciate the opportunity. And I just want to say thank you to my sponsors, Roll Forever. They help with everything. My visa to be in the US. They help with flights and entrance to tournaments, and putting me up in places to stay. So that's always a huge help. And obviously my family is one of the biggest supporters I have. Very grateful to have them here. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening until the end. If you have any questions for my guest or me, please comment on YouTube or Instagram. Also, any shares of this episode will be much appreciated. Cheers!